Welcome to Aesthetic Academy.
Hello everyone. It's me, B. It's just me today. So I'm gonna work on my comic redraw because I have a comic called Soul Seeker on Webtoons and Tapas, and I started last year doing it. And at the time, I didn't really know a lot about doing comics, laying up panels, etc., etc. But now I'm on episode 40, and it's been a while. I've got like tips and tricks. The first thing we're gonna do is observe the old one, even though this is the new one. But we're gonna listen to my cat scream. Hi, Tinkerbell. Meh. Meh. You silly little baby. Meh. We're gonna look at the old one. We're gonna comment. We're gonna berate and belittle. No, we're not gonna. That's completely berate and belittle. We're just gonna point out some of the stuff from the old one that we definitely want to change. Because when you're starting a comic, the most important thing is to start. And that's what I did. I went for it. I, even though it took a while, I did a lot of planning, a lot of, uh, like, we place a lot of importance on it has to be like the perfect opening. We have to start at the perfect moment. We have to introduce our characters at the perfect moment. And that can be a lot of pressure and build up, and it just gets to us, and often we just don't start. So sometimes the best things to do is just do it. Uh, as long as like you don't put anything like too like plot heavy, I'd say like redo. Like you're fine to just redo anything. You could also just tell your readers like, "Hey, I redid the first couple pages," or if you're like at uh like low subs count, like it really doesn't matter if you just change a couple things or redo the art for it. So this is the old art, and when I started, I like struggled a lot to like what I wanted for like the bordering, what I wanted for the line art, what I wanted for the coloring, what I wanted for the shading. So you can see like the shading is like mixes of this kind of like strokey bleh, strokey dry brush and this just kind of like scribble technique, because at the time I was like I wanted to look, oh forgive me, I just woke up. I wanted to look a certain way. I wanted to look stylized. I wanted to be memorable, and it just kind of made it look very messy. And at the time, I was also rushing because I was like, man, I want to get this ready and have like a launch premiere and blah blah blah. So a lot of it was kind of rushed, and even though like before this I did a lot of studies of my character, there's still times where it's like a little off. But now that I've drawn him like bazillion bagillion times, like with the other comics, like I know him a bit better. And at the time, I didn't want to draw all these bubbles by hand, so I downloaded like a brush like preset for them. Like some of them are good, like this, but I still had to like redo a lot of the tails for it, because presets could only get you like so far. So now I actually like hand draw my bubbles instead. Uh, in like here, I only used like black text. In like recent editions I use like white now because like it stands out. Like this, I'd probably use like shrink it down so it stops here and use like white because white's gonna stand out a bit more. In my line art, I can't tell if that's the black or the purple I used, but I use like a really like purplish now. And you see I was like trying to rush things, so it's like she's kind of like a quick, like, stick figure-esque, instead of, like, going in and just being like, like, all the details. Still the scribbles. And I think I hand did all those dots, even though I have, like, preset brushes now. And, like, I wasn't really shading a lot in the background, so that's something I do now, so I was putting, like, because just putting a flat color's nice, especially when you have, like, close-up like this, but something kind of far away like that, I'd add a little, like, stuff in the background. If you know your character is going to be in a certain place for a lot, I'd recommend just doing, like, going into another file and just doing the background, like, nothing against it. Like, you have, like, this brick pattern, like, do, like, a big brick pattern in the background, then you could just keep slapping it in the background, because that's what I did a lot with some of the recent editions when they're in a library. I had, like, a flat wall background with, like, all the books and, like, the drawers that were in the background, and I could just place it in the background and then draw over it and, like, do what I need to. And since it's, like, a square pattern, I could cut out certain things and redo them kind of a little bit, like if I wanted, like, a different pattern for the background. Rather than, like, the same, like, repeating one, I could do that pretty easily. Because in digital art, we get the luxury of repetition, I'd say. Or, like, basically the power of copy-paste, which is really nice. It helps, like, speed up the flow of our workflow and get stuff out faster. You can see kind of my environments are very empty because I wanted to get stuff done fast. I didn't like really flesh it out, which I'm trying to do now. Let's get it down. So those are all from number 1 that I redid. You can see she's not so much of a stick figure anymore, and the dog's, like, actually sitting down now. And there's more stuff in the environment. And, like, the text is white. So I implemented those changes, and I hand did my bubbles. And the shading's more consistent. But down here, like, see, I added stuff in, so it doesn't look like nobody lives there. I might add a few pieces of paper here and there, actually. Still. And instead of, like, dead ends with, like, nothing there, it looks like it's been lived in now. Like, people actually, like, live here. So it's not so much flat. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a bit more coloring. And I still have to add in, like, the brick textures instead of having it just be flat. Like, see, sometimes when you do a good panel, kind of like this, like, the emphasis I want to be on this, the shrinking element of it. Sometimes it's good not to have the pattern in the background. Just if you really want to, like, emphasize, like, something like a small or like a large oh my god, I might need to go for a run real quick, just like woo. But to emphasize, like, something that happening in your comic that, like, especially if, like, you're zoomed up in on, you don't need a lot of, like, background details. Like, this shit's happening, and that's the important moment. But yeah, you can kind of see my old sketches here. So for, like, redoing stuff, I have all my old Photoshop files for it. So I could just drag in the old sketch, and I've just been going over top of it. I think I stopped, like, here and started, like, actually redoing the outline art up here because I was like, it's gonna get sad down here, and I don't know if I want to redo it a little. Because I might add like 1 or 2 panels more in the conversation. But anyone like reading up to the point, like, they saw the little girl, they know who she is. So they already have that in their mind. So like if I add like 1 or 2 panels of just like more casual conversation, I'd say, it's not gonna change anything from their perspective. Oh my god, stop yawning, please. And you can see some like little inconsistencies here and there, which is fine. But you know, it's not as good as it could be. And like these sound effects I had like a preset for, but you shouldn't just oh my god, I keep yawning, Jesus Christ. Uh this like should have had like a border, but like it should have probably been white with like a border around it. Because it kind of, you know, just it just doesn't say like comic to me. And you can see like more of the pre-used like assets here and how I had to fix it down here. And also I used to wear tape drawing like this bracelet all the time. But then I forgot it existed. But it's not important to the story, so I kind of just whoop, whoop, cut it out. The other one. And then you see this one, I just didn't do backgrounds. And like some of the way the cloth drapes is a little weird. So I can fix that all. Easy peasy. So yeah, that's basically what we're trying to redo and refix. Oop. Just heard my phone go off. I'm terrified. Okay. I want to add those papers actually right now when I'm thinking about them. Or do I? No, we'll come back. We have over sketches to do. Oops. So to redo stuff, I basically just pulled in the old sketch. I lowered the opacity a bunch. And now we can just re-sketch over top of it. Oop. Move my little cam along with me. I'm sure my VTuber will like jump up and get down, because that's just what she do. She go everywhere. So here, like, we have our designs and the hidden lore. So here, like, if you have a design page, it's easier to just like yoink your colors from and have an idea of what they're supposed to look like. For me, I also have my 2 main characters. I have them printed out, like their character sheets that I have for art fight, and they're on my wall, so I can just look up if I'm like forgetting something, like, oh, like which way does April's hair go, and I can just look up and be like, oh yeah, that way. her hair. I think I've also like gotten used to doing things a bit bigger, because in cartoons you can exaggerate. And that's an important thing to do. Exaggeration. Do her little ear. And then this ear on the side. And her bangs just go whoop. I think I might have did a little too high. It's okay. We're able to just group. And now it's moved out of the way. Perfect. And you can see in her original sketch, her chin was a lot sharper. I think I've been doing it a lot rounded, because kids have a lot more rounded features than they do sharp. So rounded it is. And her mole is on this side. Perfect. Alright. And it's also nice that it's a lot easier to whack in construction lines. The cleaner your sketch is, the easier it's going to be able to align. So instead of me, let me see if I can find it, or a good example, like me just whacking in that handle like that. So I do it a little bit. Oh, come on. I do it a little bit in the new one, like when they're really far away, because you can kind of get away with simple shapes, but with like a hand close up like that, you really need to like add that detail like in like each of the length being like different. And that's not like the exact right angle, but it's gonna help do like get that line art moving sooner, so you're not stuck there like like trying to really figure it out. It'll help you bang out that line art instead of just being stuck on it forever. Deep. She just has a big shirt. Her arms too long, they would come down to her just past her knees. Nope, they're fine. Might make them just a little bit, because it is a big shirt. So I think her arms would stop right about here, so I don't think there's a lot of like droopage. And her star would be like right here. Whoop. And then her belt. Whoop. Here. And the front of it would be like there. Yeah, perfect. Well, I just noticed her legs are like thick. Her way too thick of legs. So her torso would be here. Legs would be like attached here and bent. Because I want her to be like, you know, like leaning, kind of like the ta-da. There we go. That looks a lot better. And then we could just whoop in the last bit of her hair there. And the shoulder, and her being like, yeah. Well, look at the puppy. And we can see that's already looking a lot more natural. Like, instead of like looking straight on, like at us, she's like doing like a half and us half, like look at the puppy. And Patches is like, fuck yeah, I look amazing. Boop boop. I do like somewhat of the flow I have going on here. I do like this shape. Let's also have their eyes closed, like, I know I'm hot shit. You don't have to tell me. Yeah, I guess the back would be there, like back head here. Yeah. Maybe just a little higher. Perfect. And like that's where one of the patches would be. And the other ear. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we could probably even like push this expression anymore. One thing I like. Oh god, I feel like I have to cough. Don't do it. Okay. Ooh. Where the heck is it? Probably in references somewhere. Yep. Okay. I just have like a expressions sheet. Usually you can just look up expressions and you'll find like pretty good expression sheets. This one's more gory and probably mad. It's probably something along the lines of like do I actually have anything other expression sheets? I probably do somewhere. I am disorganized as shit. Probably more something like this, but the other way around. Kind of like, oh, bro, shit. Oop. Boop. And nose. And eyes. Ba ba ba. This is probably up too high. Oops. No. My perfect box that no one will see because I'll be drawing it over anyway with a paddle brush. Say it ain't so. You can see that I extended like it from the old sketch because we also want to like. There was no reason for me to really like just cut off his hair, even though like it. If you want to emphasize an expression, zoom in on them, zoom zoom. But this is just kind of like an oh wow, like it's not like Darth Vader was my father all along. Say it ain't so kind of expression, like zoom in, like some sort of important realization. Shall we keep it on the end? And take a quick drink of tea here, because I feel like I'm gonna cough for 5 years. Okay. Maybe the pupils weren't up here. Yeah. Maybe the O kind of expression is good. Mayhap. Maytap. You can also kind of tell in the old sketch that I was just like, everyone's gonna have cute little round eyebrows. I didn't think about that like consciously, but apparently subconsciously I was just like, cute little round eyebrows for everyone right now. But now I do like actual like just strokies. Just easy stroke. Alright, she had her little clip in her hair. Boop. There we go. Maybe I should turn it into like a fun like animal clip. That's something we could do. Something like that you know is gonna be repeating a ton. You could also probably make a quick like reference sheet though, like for at like a ton of angles, so you can just like quickly drag it in and just throw it in. I know people do that with like really complicated eyes, because in like Photoshop and stuff, you can drag stuff in and then use the perspective tool to just give her a little warp. Give her a warp. Oop. Oops, I crushed it. So let's get a little of this line. This little back. There we go. Now we could just draw this in again. And then once like we have it drawn in, we can adjust it a little, so we could drag it up like a bit more, or we could pull it side to side kind of thing. This could probably be more contained this way, because your speech bubbles don't always have to stay the majority in your panel. They can branch out a bit. They can have a little wander over yonder. Oh yes, a little wander over yonder. And then rump. Oops. Too far. And then it's other. It's a neckline to show he's got a neck. It's not all hair. I swear. And then hoods follow gravity, so they have a little dip in them. Burp. Perfect. Yeah, I think the O is good. I think. Unless. Does it look too disingenuous? Oh, maybe something like that. Yeah. He's happy. He loves it. Yeah, that looks a lot better. O looks too shocked. Like, oh wow. Like, you're really trying to push it, you know? Like, oh wow. You got me clothes for Christmas? Ooh. You know? That kind of, disingenuous, kind of like, ooh. Uh, delicious tea. Uh, It's also good to like look back at your art with like fresh eyes, like before you post anything, if you like save it and then come back the next day. But I know a lot of people, like that's a good way to catch mistakes, but a lot of people, like if they look at it and like there's too many mistakes or like the perfectionism that's sometimes like tied with art, like you're just like one mistake, gotta delete it, gotta start over, like that kind of, so sometimes it's better to just get it over with and post it, but it's also good to look at your art with fresh eyes and see some of those mistakes before you post them. But don't punish yourself too hard for like a few mistakes. Like they happen. Nobody's perfect at art. We're always learning. And if you go like, I am the perfect god at art. I am God's gift to art. Uh, then you've probably stunted your own growth by like refusing to learn anything else. We're always learning. There's always something new to learn. You could get to a point where everything looks amazing, sure, but there's still probably like few tweaks here and there. Like, for example, like if you're really amazing at realism, like maybe try cartoon. Ba ba ba. The nose needs to go down a little more. Yeah. He's kind of leaning down so his hair goes forward. Oops, that way too big. I am pushing way too hard on my brush. If this was a real brush or pencil, I'd just nap it in half. Not really, but almost. This little bang. Up and over. And I also think for me, a lot of like mistakes or like awkward things was like trying to figure out exactly how the hair would work. Because even though I did a bunch of like left right turns, I didn't do like a lot of like top down or like figuring exactly what I want for the hair. Like how it exactly all attaches together. And making it look like somewhat cohesive at every angle. I was just kind of like, we gotta go. We gotta go. Which helped, like, my comics out there. Instead of it just being, like, stuck in my mind palace for the rest of eternity. Like I said, sometimes you just gotta do. Do, and then you can redo later. I don't have her belt in this. That's why it looks weird. Where would her hair fall? About a couple inches from her belt. So her belt would be like here. Whoop. And then her shoulder with her arm would kind of be here. And the pant wig. I also don't know. I think I did. But I can't remember exactly. If I was doing stuff behind the speech bubbles. Because, like, when you're drawing, you want to do all of it. You don't want to hide. Like, you can hide stuff behind your speech bubbles, like, obviously. Like, her leg would be hidden. So it doesn't have to be, like, exactly perfect. But sometimes you just want to, like, move some of the sketch bubbles over a little. And, like, if you don't have anything underneath it, like, if you didn't finish the drawing underneath it, then you gotta go back and recolor. So it's easier just to just do the whole panel, have the speech bubbles on a different layer, and then just you can fiddle and adjust. And it's good if you want to do like your thumbnail. You can just easily hide your layer. You can get a little preview. Your preview pose, just easy. The speech bubbles are gone, and you just get a nice little poser, like your perfect panel, just so you can be like, ah, everyone, behold, behold the preview. Go read issue now. For this, the hood is like covering up some of his chin. Not all of it. There we go. Still gotta kind of show his neck poking out. And then the hood falling that way. And this is where the shoulder would sit. By God, his arm is long for no reason. So we bring that elbow back a little bit. And then the cloak would drape like so. And we got your fabric that bunches up a little. And then his arm would overlap like so. Because he's petting his puppy. There we go. I'm gonna erase a little. Boop, boop, boop. His legs are here, which means the belt, which is kind of like with the torso. Like go back. And with the sketch too, you could also like bounce around. Like sometimes, like when I'm doing my new episodes, and I know like I want a specific moment and I want to lead it up to there, I'll just like draw it in like, and then I just kind of like circle it, drag it down, and just kind of like put it a bit more down on the document. And then I can just be like, fill in all the stuff like burp, 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 burp. Especially like if I decide I kind of like want more interaction like with what's ever happening first, like before that panel. Like if I went here and then I all of a sudden jumped to like this one. Like let's say like, oh, we have the crying and then like we didn't have this panel and we just had this one next, and I'm like, man, I want her to say something. I can just easily move it down. And an insert. Because with this, it's nice, like thumbnailing, you could do whatever the heck you want with it. Thumbnailing, you could just move it wherever. The bow's on this side. Burp. Nope, that's not how dog tongue work. You do lick. They do lick. There we go. So their ears follow gravity. I don't know why. I was just like, no. No gravity for you, ear. Nay. Okay, and then the bang. Oops, and the bottom of like space also. And his front would kind of just lean a bit this way. Because when you do the crouchy stuff, all the fabric and like kind of the front just kind of like flop. And then this, the other button, kind of thin it out because it is on a little bit of an angle. And then his boots. I think his boots are really, they're trickiest because they're so weird. I just kind of bullshit it. Or, like with comic panels, usually people don't look for too long. Because they're here, like, they're mostly like looking for the story. That's why, like, if you look around webtoons, like, or like more so the daily comics, if they get too detailed, nothing would ever get done. They'd never publish the comic because it would never, ever, 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 ever get finished. Never, never, never. Like, there's definitely like beauty in detail, like, but you just want just the right amount, you know? And that's up to the artist to decide. Like, if you want a lot of detail, like, go for it. But, like, keep in mind, you're probably on a time limit. Cause I forget which comic artist it is. If Tap was here, he'd probably know. If I remember, I'll insert it into the VOD. But basically he was working on a comic for like I think like 7 or 8 years. Got like the first chapter done because he was like cramming like so much detail, like masterwork pieces of detail into like a single comic panel. So he would only get like maybe 1 or 2 panels done a day instead of like, let's say like 30 or 40, maybe even more on average. But I think his was just like uh black and white, like pen and ink, if I remember correctly. I'll have to look it up. But yeah. But a lot of like daily comic makers, like you can see like as long as like your plot's good, like you have good like story beats, like you don't need like terribly a lot of detail. And like their chest comes up here. Dogs are kind of very bean-esque. That might be a little too long for them. It's kind of like that-esque. At least that general shape. When you have the general shape, you can at least work off of it. I know some artists too have like kind of already do something like this, where like their thumbnails are very like boom 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 boom. Boom. I think animation too does that as well, like just to get those story beats and those story ideas out, like very quick thumbnails. Like I've seen it like with Owl House panels, like they'd have the quick kind of like just so people like know what character it is, blah blah blah. Like not as quick as that, obviously. And then they go in and do like the clean, like overbeats. It kind of looks like art line art, what they do, like just to clean it up, you know. And then you can like actually like see like the emotion on their face. And that helps them like plan out the story beats and like what's gonna happen. And like if they need to like push any of the poses. That's a really long leg. Could always just put the paw like on his leg, perhaps. You got the little like bendy going on. And throw like the other paw like here-ish. Or something like having this paw like straight down. So it would be like roughly here-ish. And then maybe I could have the other paw like, boop. Yeah, that's cute. Okay. That's how we keep it. And then it goes down. And we got the leggy. The back leggy. Like over here. And then it goes whoop. Leggy. And then the booty and the little tail. Ba 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 ba. Yeah. We have to put in kind of the background. Is there anything specific in this scene? Next to her, there's like the boarded up shit. The scene's already kind of cluttered, so I'm probably not add anything in the background there. Burp. Oh, stretch. Oh, remember to do your stretches, kids. Wow, 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 wow. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. So for her, her head's like very dipped down. She's sad. She's like, oh, let me sad. She's looking down. She's like, oh. We'll add her nose here, because often, like, when you look straight down, that's like, usually your nose covers up your mouth. And we'll just kind of like burperizing. Burperizing? What a sentence. And then we add kind of like the neckline, probably a bit further up because she is looking down. So often when you look down, your like shirt neckline kind of just shrinks a little, and your shoulders get a little higher. No, we really want them to be droopy because she's sad. And then just whoosh, whoop. For her hair, I might just do this and then add like this in the background. Just because if I think I extend her hair too far, it will not look good. It'll probably like make her bangs look like they're attached to like the back of her head. On the belt's like here. Yeah, okay. And we could even like zoom in just a little bit. Really adjust the pose here. Oops. What happened? Why is it not erasing? Did it accidentally select something? Probably. Photoshop loves to accidentally select something. Might move all this down a little. And bump up the hair a little. Oh my god, why is it still selecting? Stop that. You are forbidden to select. Too high. I want it to stop like here. So back of her head would be roughly there, yeah. I think I made my hair a little too big too. Burp, burp, burp. Because it's big, but it's not that big yet. There we go. There's stars there. Perfect. She's better say the boy. Sniff, sniff. There we go. Okay, I'll be right back because I want to quickly make some oatmeal. I'm very hungry. So, I'll be right back. Enjoy, hopefully, bug snacks if it's gonna load. Fellas, I'm back. For anyone watching live, that was our new, well, the first episode of Bug Snacks. There's a second episode out right now, live on our YouTube channel, link in panels. For anyone watching this, the VOD squad, if I remember, the link will pop up right now in the title card thing. If not, it's on our channel. It's called Bugology 101. Check it out. It's delicious. The new one is called Bark for Bethica. We meet Bethica for the first time. Opinions are mixed, to say the least. I made a beautiful meme. It's delicious. Go check it out. Anyway, back to this. Oop. Ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da. Boop. She say the boy. She's about to scream, cry, throw up. She looks a little frog-esque right now. I don't know what it is. Probably the mouth. I feel like that eyebrow's too far. God damn it, stop following the old and bad drawings. Only follow the good one. Which you haven't drawn yet, so I don't know how you're going to do that, but do it. Yeah, there we go. Scoop. Scoop. That's actually way too big, I lied. Come down like that, and then boop, boop. And her shoulder. And her hair just kind of like floops over her shoulder. Loop. And then her necklace start. Yeah. I might start line arting here because I think I want to reword this a little. It might require more panels. So that might be something for another day. Till then I can show you what I do with panels. And you're gonna freak out? No? Okay. Sometimes when I zoom in and out, my Photoshop just goes like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Panels, usually I don't have all of this. So like usually looks like that. And then I usually do the panels and light on first. I usually don't put character background, but since I was rewording and I still wanted to work on this, I think I just went ahead and did like some of the stuff up top here. So first I usually put in panels and I smack in the line art over top of it, and then like all this comes in later. So we'll work on that first. For me, I use a little scrunkly border. Do it at like 18. And then I just hold shift and broop, broop, broop. I just smack it in there. Sometimes if there's a little like overhang like here, I can just take the eraser and just smack it a little. And it like evens it out a little. Then just same thing, shift, drag, shift, drag. And then if there's like a dent in the corner, I can just smack the brush against it, and usually it sharpens up a little. Scoop. And sometimes I don't usually worry about how far these are spaced right now. This is fine since like these are attached together. But stuff like if I want a bigger break, like usually here, probably here-ish. Because I think these are like pretty close together. Once I export it all, I take it and then I chunk it up in like a PNG. Just because it's easier than trying to do it here. Because if I drag it down, like, then you have to drag down the color separately, and then sometimes it doesn't line up and yada yada. So it's easier just to take it in a separate file, and like when it's all together, it's easier to chunk up. Because when it's in its PNG like format, you can just drag the file on top and then do a white, like completely white layer underneath, and then when you drag stuff around above, like, looks like nothing happened. And then my line brush, which I usually drag down a little. And it's the same color as the panels, which is like a little bit purple. And then I usually yank up the smoothing just to make my lines smoother. I am on the line panel, yep. And usually I'll drag down the opacity of this sketch layer just so you can really see how your lines are turning out. Nope, that's a little too short. Stop there and then drag her out. Whoop. There we go. Was I drawing? Yeah. Boop. Then we can just smack in the teeth. And the hair clip. She might change later, I don't know. If I make it too detailed, like she already has like her star and stuff. So she already has like something pretty, oops, unique about her. I gotta turn the opacity off on my eraser. There we go. Curve that line up a little so it's not so straight. And then we whoop. Make sure there's at least a little bit of dent in here. I can add like 1 or 2 strokes. Yeah, I think that's what's missing in a lot of these. Just a little bit of that hair that's like in front of our ears, you know? Probably on stuff like that, it's not too noticeable on like the far away. Oops. Doesn't have an eardrum there. There we go. Can't tell if I scopped in the mark there, so I'll do it right now. Alright. These eyes were too high for my liking. Saw that right before stream and then I completely forgot about it. Just needs to move down a little. Like there. There we go. I need to move a little closer. Yeah. Now they actually have a forehead. Forehead. Anything else I want to change here? No. Okay. Back to here. Scoop and dupe, and that was way too much of a dupe. There we go. We back it up a little. I wish I could mount my webcam like over my tablet, because it's like kind of off to the side, and it kind of makes my VTuber go like break a little, since my face is on an angle. Oop. Burp. Okay. And then we add in the little sleeve. Burp, 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 burp. Up, and we should save our work. Burp. Always remember to save. It's important. I just realized that when I was saying like all this Photoshop stuff on the side here, basically the panels on their own separate layer, line on their own separate layer, and then the character colors are in their own folders because I do clipping layers over top of them for the shading. Because I take a Gaussian blur to it to like soften the shadows a little bit. And with Gaussian blur, like if you just kept it like clipped, it'll just bleed out to the background or like bleed out here. So like have like the character shading on their own separate layer, the background shading on their own separate layer, and yada yada yada. I usually do the effects on like another layer as well. Like right now, the twins, Del and Mar, all of their magic I usually do on a separate layer. Except for like them teleporting really. But any of like their shield magic and stuff, all separate layer. And she's leading down a little. It's okay if her star goes past her belt a little. No big deal. And if your lines like some of them like have little gaps in them, I wouldn't worry too much about that because usually like the color will just tie everything together. Oops, her hair needs to show through there. There we go. Boop. And up and over. Perfect. And then the ear. Nope. And the back. And the neck. And the nose. Yeah. And the other ear. Perfection. And then all this like the fur patterns I usually do in the coloring. Just for the dogs mostly. Just so it looks like not too distracting. Like you could do like little thin lines, but for me I just don't like to do it at all. It's all up to you. It's all up to you when you draw. What you feel in your hearts. If you like the lines, do the lines. It's your art. You do what you want to do. Dupe. That was a little too high for my liking. Try again. Beautiful. Okay. I hate that freaking close and go to bridge is like so close to save. Because sometimes I end up hitting it and it makes me want to scream. Oh, that line finished way too early. This goes over and up and whoop and drop. Yeah, the nose is fine. I was gonna say, maybe it's a little too small, but actually it's fine. Whoop. Also with the highlights in the eyes, I do them on another layer, just because I like them above the line art. So they get their own layer later that I stick them on. Then I think I do a hard light, and then I lower the opacity until they're nice, a little nice and glowy. And that's usually what I do the highlights for certain things on like glass and stuff. I do that on that one as well. Because then I can also like put the opacity back on my eraser and like erase to my liking as well. Yeah, I think this eyebrow just needs to go up more. Yeah. And I can also change it a little bit later. Just be like, I don't like this, blah 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 blah. And you can also just skip around with your line art too. Burp. Sometimes I'll do this when I have like a lot of stuff going on like here. And then I do it last. Probably because like close-up panels are way easier. Don't take a lot of line art. You can also save panels you're excited to do for last. Because I think if you do them first, then you kind of lose a little bit of motivation, I've heard some people say. Which I probably agree with. Because like if you do the stuff you want to do first, then you're kind of like, I'm going to put this other stuff off for as long as I can. Which is understandable. That line didn't close up. There we go. A very thin line. As thin as I can get it, really. For the tear water. She's looking down. She's saying, sniffity sniff sniff. Boop. Feel my knuckles disintegrating. Pushing too hard. Nervous. I'll just put like one or two kind of here. And then her eye. And her nose. Neckline. Necklace. Which I don't like that accidental curvy line I did. Burp. Scoop, scoop, scoop. And then we throw in the hair. Burp. Perfect. Oh my god, I heard the water started running and it spooked me. I don't know why. Spooky. Oops. I'm gonna add in like the flappy foldy part. There we go. Where the shirt does some folds, because the shirt too big for her. Who gave this child a large adult shirt? Whoop. Just go back like that. Perfect. Just kind of go up and over. Hood goes back. Swoops down. Also, I'd put on some lo-fi music like last time, but the music that was supposed to be copyright free was not. Oh, I forgot to do his hand here. LOL. I'll fix that. First, I'll just finish the other line art first. That connects here. Also the belt. I think it's just that one, not curving in the right way. That makes me go ew. There we go. Ew. Okay. There we go. Pull that up. God, my nose's itchy. Desist. Okay. No itch, please. I will scream, cry, and throw up. Holy shit. Okay. Sorry, I just had to take care of something quick. And then we slap in this. Oops. Nose is a little small. Small. We could slap in the rest of the line art here. Slap, slap, slap. Whoop. Whoop. Perfect. I like doing the nose a little separately, just so it like pops up a bit. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Forehead. Bow in the background. Oh god, I gotta sneeze, and hopefully by saying it out loud I won't have to sneeze anymore. It's just making my eyes watery. Curses. Where does this line go? Oh, it actually... Does it actually... Or am I just terribly misjudging? No, it does go... Oh. Might be too low. It's too low. I think that's about where that other line goes, because I kind of want that bit of corner. Just to ground them a little more. Whoop. Squeak that paw in there. Whoop, whoop. There we go. And then I could probably just... Do I want the other paw to stick out? It would be like here. Yeah, we'll do it just so it... So... It doesn't look like the dog is missing a leg. Usually you can hide things and get away with it. Because sometimes not all your features are going to be showing, you know? If I really drag that line... Keep missing. Oh well, that's fine. And connect to here. And then extend this here. Yes, and then we need to soup in the hand. Just the pinky. Oops. I think the problem I have, especially with having the smoothing turned on, is sometimes they accidentally turn into Grinch fingers. Because I keep trying to round them like that. Like that's a good round. But sometimes they just refuse to round. They kind of turn into Grinch fingers. That's an alright hand. We'll leave it at that. Keep wanting to draw on the knuckles, but not a good idea. We'll just extend this down. There we go. It could have been a little bigger, but honestly, I think it's okay. And alright. Oops, 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 it's doing the freak out thing. So usually when I color, I make the entire background white. Just because gray, it's gonna really dull out some of the colors. Make them not look right, so I like to keep it like that. And then I hide the sketches. And then I get color. Well, like I said, I have like the background and the characters on two separate like layers and groups together. Just so I could like toggle on and off, and the shading is a bit easier that way. Yoink. I guess that's the shade color. And then I have to go in and hand do some of the bricks, but I think I was gonna do that all at once, just so they look the same. So usually what I do is put in, whoops, wrong one, I put in the flat color, and then I just take the gradient and I go boop, and that just gives it a little depth, you know? And then this, since it is close up, I could do a flat if I wanted to. I also used to have toggles, but it kept like disconnecting, so I might set up like a bit more on my tablet to do that. But I had a Nintendo Switch like controller that I could just like blop 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 and just be able to change from paint bucket tool to gradient at just a click of a button. But it's just like kept disconnecting, so I was like, ugh. But it really sped things up at the time. It was nice. But now we're back in just this. Boop. Beep. And then we'll add a little bit of gradient to it. Scop. And just magic wand that. Boop. Perfect. And then we need the ground color. That. Perfect. Donk. And a gradient again. Bonk. Perfect. Delicious. So that's usually how I do backgrounds. I just kind of slap them in there like that. And then like stuff like this, I'll usually do all together. You can see I just kind of left it at that because the colors were from last panel. So I just zooped them over just so I could have those base colors ready and raring to go. And then for stuff like this, I have my design sheet open and then I can just yonk the colors. Just give it a yoink. Usually I'll do like 3 colors at a time, like the skin, the hair, and the cloak. Just because those are all like 3 distinguishable colors from each other. And usually I will just white the background out because it's a lot easier to see when you make like draw outside the lines on white than it is your background colors. But sometimes like if you leave like little gaps, the behind colors will just fill that in. But here it's just easier to do it like that, just so you see the white peeking through. And you'll know if you missed a little pixel or two. Usually I just go do like that, and then I just keep scrolling and I find like everything that needs to be that color and I just go, and then I hit the bottom and then I go back up with like whatever colors I need. Because sometimes like always like his sometimes his pants won't show in like a panel, sometimes like his feet won't show in a panel, so like you just keep going down like that. And you can just do that until the character is completely colored in. If it's easier to keep track of colors for you, like you could just do it all at once if you wanted to. You know, some people do that. And then I do the same thing, like next character, do that, bring it up, and then I just go down, up, down, up, down, up. Easy pizza. Easy pizza. But I think I am gonna end it here. Just cause I really have to go to the bathroom. And I don't think I have anything more to teach you now, other than me just silently coloring. And I don't wanna subject you to me just silently coloring. But yeah, if you want to check out my comic, it's on Webtoons called Soul Seeker. It's on my channel, linked on my channel /GravityB, Twitch TV /GravityB. The others couldn't be here today, but there's all their socials. Next week, we're gonna be, if everybody's alive, we're gonna be doing Pride themed drawings. And I already have something in mind. Tap was already talking about a little something. I don't know what Mint's doing yet. But yeah. Check out our bug snacks. All our VODs are on our YouTube. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.